anything in particular you're hoping to see from this seed today?
You know, I'm kind of hoping that, you know, the more places that they have to check, the more it comes down to like execution and optimal strats for boss rooms and dungeon clearing and stuff like that. So I'm kind of hoping that they do have to go to a few different places. Looks like we have begun, and we got a desert palace map right in the first chest.
Looks like that leads to the red pendant today. Thanks, Nifboy, for giving us that early map check. And of course, as always, at the bottom of your screens, you're going to see that wonderful HUD being kept updated so that we can see what these runners have and don't have as the race goes on. Huge shout outs to Haha Cell for tracking that throughout this race. He's going to have a lot of work to do, and we can't do it without him.
Absolutely not. So interesting, the first tier pull is fairies getting 20 rupees from the uncle. And check out this sync we've got going on right now. These runners, you can tell that this is just going to be a great race just because of already the...
Oh my goodness.
Wow, the bow?
So that raises the immediate and interesting question. They don't know, obviously, if it's a crystal or a pendant. How soon does one of these runners just go to Eastern and clear it out, regardless, even in the dark?
Well, I believe that they are going to need a big key first before that
Of course, we're in Keysanity. I should keep that straight.
So I believe that as soon as they find the big key, they'll probably be going to Eastern Palace. So I think, yeah, this is crazy. So it looks like WillardJBradley is setting up for the Houlihan room here, changing the camera angle. That's why he's jumping into the water over and over again. There, if you happen to change your camera angle a little bit, it glitches the screen and forces you into this little room here.
Yeah, and Nifboy is headed down through the castle already. You know, a lot of runners wait till they have a sword or a hammer to pull that off, but Nifboy, with that early bow and an early arrow drop, is just charging right through. Who knows, he might get ahead from that.
And shoutouts to Falco Buster for the 3-month resub, super appreciated. Thanks for your continued support. WillardJBradley picking up some bombs here. Gonna be coming up the south side of Kakariko. So getting that bomb there, he's probably gonna opt to maybe open up the bombable hut. Hopefully there's no item in the digging game, or the maze game here. Digging game, oh boy. Not in Dark World yet.
That'll come soon. Looks like it was just a piece of heart, so not essential for these runners. And I think that was a small key in the library. Obviously, we don't know which one it is, but should the boots come up, that'll be an early check.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the bigger small keys that you're looking for is the Swamp Palace small key. It's the only one that you'll find outside in the world here. So it could be the infamous Swamp Palace key, or it could be something as minuscule as, you know, the Skullwoods or Miserymire keys.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh my gosh, so Willard getting a basically vanilla bottle out of the back of the tavern shows that to the sick kid and gets the fire rod already. We have a very strong start for these runners.
Yeah, the seed is really heating up.
Because of the fire rod?
Yep. Yep.
I see what you did there.
Yep, we did it. So we're getting the chicken hut check here.
And I think Nifboy gave us a tier 2 triple and just got hearts out of that. So no rupee farming to be found, but there's a Turtle Rock big key for Willard.
All right, and it looks like Lumberjack Ledge is just a heart piece, so I really don't think that they're going to be going out of their way to defeat Aghanim just for that. But we still don't know Dark World access yet, so it doesn't necessarily knock Aga out of question. Speaking of useless keys, there's the Skullwoods key I was referring to, or one of them.
Speeds up your routing through the dungeon. Other than that, it doesn't really give you any benefit.
Ooh.
But there's that Swamp Palace one.
Yeah, there's the Swamp Palace one we were talking about a few seconds ago.
And it looks like Nifboy found 3 bombs up in the Lost Woods, so that'll save him a lot of backtracking in the village.
Ooh, a map of Turtle Rock. So we did find a big key for that, so that'll be good for them. We also found the fire rod, so could be getting our Turtle Rock care package really early.
We certainly could, and Nifboy, in the Thieves' Hideout in the forest, has found the Power Glove.
All right, so we're about to see here. There's a bunch of chests in this house here. Big key for Swamp Palace. Oh, interesting. And speaking of Turtle Rock care package, there's the cane.
I'm starting to get 2 vibes at this point in the seed. One for Swamp Palace with both those keys, and one for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it's pretty strong hints towards both of those at the moment.
But of course, we're 5 minutes into this race that we often expect to take around 2 hours, so anything can happen at this point.
Yeah, so Willard's now going to be going up to Lost Woods. He's going to be picking up that Power Glove. I don't believe he's going to go out of his way, though, to grab those bombs that were lying in the woods here.
I expect not, given that he's at the full 10. The interesting question for Willard right now, once he gets that Power Glove, is he going to head straight over to Sanctuary and check the back of Escape there?
I believe that is a good play. Checking the back of Escape. Also, potentially, could be opting to go to Sahashala's hut, which has been known to hoard some good items like the hammer. The amount of times I've seen the hammer there is significantly high. So there's still a couple items away from Dark World access at the moment. Still missing either a glove upgrade or the hammer plus the Moon Pearl. But with what they have, they're getting a nice amount of access to other things. Potentially lamp soon to go up Death Mountain.
Oh, I'd be interested to see that, especially if the hookshot comes out anytime soon here.
Yeah. Wow, this back of Escape though is really a
21
bust.
rupees and a quarter of a heart. I'll pass on that, please. So as Willard heads to the South Shore area and just gets started, Sakura, in case anyone watching doesn't know, what is Keysanity?
Keysanity is a version of the Randomizer where not only the items in the game, but also the keys, maps, and compasses have been shuffled around into the item pool and can be found in various locations across Hyrule, as well as on the bosses. So, it's definitely an exciting game to watch. You never know what you're gonna find. So.
That's right. And just like in regular Randomizer and in the vanilla game, the objective is to find those 7 crystals, enter Ganon's tower, climb up it, and go defeat Ganon. Whoever does that first is going to win this race.
Small key to Ice Palace. Logic requires 1 small key and 1 big key in order to defeat Ice Palace. Of course, if you know minor glitches, you're able to skip that. So, but it is at least a hint towards the logic when you pick up those items. So Willard looks like he's heading towards the mini Moldorm cave here. As Nifboy picks up the heart piece that the maze guy says is trash.
Especially in this tournament with kind of the average value of every location going up a bit. I've seen so many runners just go blind into the race game, go through it, and you end up picking up those things at the end that normally in a regular random race you wouldn't go for, but when you're already halfway there, you just pick up that heart piece anyways.
There's the Moon Pearl and a small key to the Aga Tower. A shovel and a mushroom. Interesting. A couple fetch quest items. Small key to Castle Tower. Still no lamp. So, still no lamp. So definitely not needing to go in there at this time, and no way to actually get in there considering no sword or no cape. But you know, you kind of start to see at the beginning here where the seed point you. So I think Willard is going to be potentially going to the Ice Rod Cave. With 1 heart, it's kind of deadly over here because there's a lot of crabs that just don't take nicely to anybody in their territory. We'll do 2 hearts of damage with green mail.
Yeah, we can see Willard exercising a lot of caution here as he tries to get over to the next.
Whoa!
I did not know the Cane of Samaria would take those out in a hit. That is a super effective strategy there.
That was definitely a great strat from Willard. Getting all 3 with 1 Cane of Samaria block. That was definitely fantastic. And gets the flippers, so definitely not going to be flake flippering? Fake flippering over to Zora. He'll actually have the ability to go straight there. Sticking a little bit closer to the left side, going to be avoiding that bird there.
Yeah, he's still in a lot of danger with his health here. 1 shot, I think, from any fireball will take him out, but there's a lot he can do with those flippers unlocked, including he can check this island.
Which is just 20 rupees.
Interestingly, we're going to see him skip on the hobo for now and just head up to the pyramid ferry. Not the pyramid ferry, the waterfall.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
If I keep naming ferries enough, I'm sure I will come upon the right one.
Gets a small key here for Desert Palace, and is gonna throw his empty bottle in to see what the fairy gives back. So both these two, both the 2 fairy fountains actually give different bottles, potentially. They're randomized, so getting himself a green potion is going to be able to use it, opts not to in order to refill it. So it's going to go ahead and continue on. It's a little stuck on the wall here, trying to avoid that crab. He's only got 1 heart, so he's got to still be really careful. Now Nifboy. Sorry.
Just gonna say Nifboy picking up those flippers as well. I'm curious if he's gonna give us a hobo check at this point.
Ooh, Nifboy going a little bit close to the right side, aggroes the bird. He's got a little bit more health, so it can be a little bit more risky, but those birds do not take kindly to people in their territory as well.
No, they sure don't. Willard, of course, has to skip on King Zora, as will Nifboy at this point, until they can come up with a lot more rupees.
Yeah.
But what's this small key for?
Ooh, pod.
Palace of Darkness.
You know, it'll be interesting to see if the hobo actually has 300 rupees. Because that would have made Willard able to check Zora. So we'll get to see right now. Nifboy is going into hobo. What's he gonna get? Just 5. 5 rupees.
So that's, what, 1/60th of what we were hoping to see there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Nifboy's, the one runner who didn't do Houlihan at this point. He is still a bit up in rupees just because he's cleared out the castle basement.
All right, another small key, I think that's actually our first small key to Turtle Rock.
Is that the first? Yes. First small key.
So, I'm kind of feeling the Turtle Rock vibe. I don't know about you guys, but definitely seems to be hinting towards some Turtle Rock action over there.
I'm always feeling the Turtle Rock vibe.
All right, so Willard's now going to be heading into Hyrule Castle. And Nifboy, seeing that key on the ledge, is going to opt to go pick it up as well.
Yeah, I think by the time Willard clears out Castle Basement and Nifboy gets that key, they will each have 2 small keys for Palace of Darkness. So, when we're talking about things this seed could be pointing to, the list is getting fairly large at this point. which makes me a bit nervous for these runners. Might mean they have a lot of stuff to check before they really get a clear direction from this seed.
Yeah, they do have the mushroom that they can hand in. Some players, though, opt to actually, with Cane of Samaria and the mushroom, there is a glitch you can do, a minor glitch, where you can actually fake powder. So they might be waiting to hand in the mushroom until they get the hammer or some sort of Dark World access to, let's say, mirror over to where the magic bat is to see if that holds anything good.
Yeah, that's always a tense gamble for these runners to make, but I'm sure it's something they're weighing in their minds. You know, obviously you're never required to do those glitches to complete the seed, but it can really, really speed up your play if you find something good that way.
Oh yeah, especially like boots, it would really speed up the play.
I was just thinking some sort of big key when powder was normally late in the game, but you're right. Boots do speed people up. It's just kind of a fact about this game.
All right, so I believe at this point both runners are going to be heading towards Sahashala's house. So, all right, green pendant information, Misery Mire.
That's an interesting thing to see when we have a cane so early, and does make me start wondering even more about Turtle Rock now.
Yep, absolutely. And we did get the blue mail in the back of Sahashala's house, as well as WillardJBradley, who is heading over towards the hobo, going to pick up his nickel from the hobo. Neither runner with a sword yet, so still mostly using arrows and bombs to defeat the enemies.
Yeah, it's a good thing they came on that bow in literally the second chest or third spot they checked, because that makes all of what they're doing right here a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Nifboy going into Eastern Palace. It's going to be the first of our runners to go through here. So interestingly enough, there's a few chests that are locked behind the, a few chests that are locked behind a dark room here. So we might see a lamp sometimes earlier. You'll see a lamp. Oh, there's the big ball. You'll see a lamp earlier on in these seeds. If, let's say, there's something important behind a dark room. So another important thing to note is that you can't do, or in the logic, you can't do Egg and Imp's Tower without the lamp. So if we want to see an Egg seed, still gonna need some significant amount of items here.
I'm sure there's no one out there in chat who's hoping that these runners are forced to go to Aghanim. I'm sure none of them are looking forward to that, are you, chat?
So we have 2 pendants found, no crystals. We have the Desert Palace being the red pendant, Misery Mire being green pendant. That means they're only looking for one more pendant, either map or some sort of indication that I guess map is the only option. But yeah, they're looking for that last pendant, and that's gonna actually make it. Oh well, there goes fake powder.
Yeah, that just made the decision easier for these runners.
Yep. But nevertheless, yes. They're looking for one more pendant. The remainder of the dungeons have to be crystals, so.
And Willard gets through that room just in time to avoid the giant ball there. For those watching who don't know, it is possible to cycle through the room, grab that chest, hop down and go down that corridor, beating the big ball coming up, but you have to be pretty close to perfect in your timing.
So Nifboy using the arrows actually as the guide for where he is in the room at the moment.
When you've got almost 30 arrows with you, you might as well use them for that.
Yep. All right, so last chest that they can check in Eastern Palace is the compass for Misery Mire.
Oh.
So Eastern Palace currently coming up really a bust. Nothing really of value in there.
So at this point, I'm looking at what our runners have covered, which is, a fair amount of what's available. I'm thinking Agina's Cave or the Mushroom at this point is what they've got left.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, of course, and I hate to say this, but King Zora's open to them. They just have to do the fundraising somewhere.
Yeah, they do have the glove too, so that gives them access to the area by Agina's Cave that they can pick up rupees.
Absolutely, it does, and Nifboy still has that Houlihan option on the table if he wants it.
Yeah, is gonna have to use bombs in order to get into the Houlihan room, because with the flippers, isn't gonna be able to use the same strat that Willard did.
Nifboy, of course, didn't do that shovel check earlier, so he's going to go over and do it now.
Alright, so now we're going to get to see what Willard chooses next. And these runners are really still basically neck and neck. They have done things that the other ones haven't. There's not a lot of variation that these runners have had the option to do. So it looks like Willard is going to be heading over to the mushroom location. We're going to get to see that handed in, and I believe that he was probably holding on to that for potentially fake powder, but now with picking up powder, not going to need it anymore.
And it looks like Nifboy's going the same way. I'm not actually certain which of those two routes is faster for getting to the mushroom spot, the witch's hut.
Ooh, and gets a map. Map of Eastern. Oh, well. We're going to see what Eastern Palace is. If it is, in fact, the last pendant, then we will know where all of the pendants are. If not... Nope, it is a crystal. So we're still on the hunt for that last pendant. So now we're off to Agina's Cave and potentially some fundraising farming here on the way to Agina's Cave. Nifboy also right behind with the witch check finds the Eastern Palace is in fact a crystal. So it looks like Willard is banking on Agina's Cave coming out. Hopefully it gives them either enough rupees to go to Zora or a cactus to the face.
I mean, sometimes you just have to take a cactus to the face.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it looks like Nifboy's going in a different direction here.
Gonna be doing a little bit of a sequence break. Going up to Death Mountain.
And Willard checks Agina's Cave and finds only a piece of heart, so does that mean Zora is our next progression?
I feel like that is the play. And Willard, instead of saving and quitting, is leaving because he's in fact going to go farm some rupees maybe, or check the desert ledge.
Why not both?
Also, shoutouts
using those arrows again.
Shoutouts to Herpy Derpy for the 5-month resub. Super appreciated. Thanks for your continued support of Speed Gaming. So again, Herpy, oh goodness.
He is not in this race.
Nifboy using the arrows because of no sword is actually very well done. Dark rooms for...
And just 20 bucks from the old man.
Picks up his allowance here.
So this leaves one more spot on Death Mountain for Nifboy. He can check on Spectacle Rock but not get that item. He can check in Spectacle Rock Cave and pick that up, but if that's not progression, he's going to be forced back to Zora as well.
So a heart container on the ledge. And bombs on the inside.
Oh.
What a bust. So Nifboy is going to have to farm rupees at this point as well, because it really is our only option.
I think so, and I think that's why Willard's down there, piecing out of there with 16 rupees still to go, but he knows he can get them pretty quickly from this hoarder crab at the end.
All right, and Willard now picking up all the rupees that he needs is going to be off to the Witch's Hut. Or Witch's Hut, to Zora! Goodness gracious. Today I can't speak.
I mean, if you're a casual player of this game, like I was until about 9 months ago, then the Witch's Hut is on the way to King Zora. And one of the things that playing Randomizer is definitely going to teach you is that taking this water warp in front of the Ice Palace Island is much, much faster for getting up to King Zora. There are ways around this game you haven't thought of till you sit down and you play Randomizer.
There is so much stuff that could be at Zora right now, though. We could find the Cape, which could lead into, Aga Tower. They do have a small key there. We could find the flute. No, we can't. That doesn't do anything.
The flute won't do anything.
Yeah, the hammer, the gloves. They still, hookshot won't matter because they still, quote-unquote, can't get up Death Mountain.
The lamp could come up and could matter because there is that one chest in Dark Sewers that they didn't get.
That is true. But it's the hammer.
And that's our Dark World access. Willard tossing that bomb back at King Zora. Unhappy that he had to go so far to find that hammer.
So Nifboy is going to be grabbing the rupees in this little house over here. By house, I mean cave.
Look, if this guy calls it his house because he lives in there, that's totally fine. Willard's going to give us that Dark World check in the south area, probably Hype Cave into the Stumpy guy, and over to the Digging Game if he can come up with the money.
I'm really hoping for a hype cave. You asked me what I wanted to see in the seed. It's definitely a hype cave. Nifboy talking to the thief.
I love that little bit of dialogue from the thief.
Well, we got a map of Ice Palace. Small key for pod. The mirror. It was a decent cave. Hey, it wasn't a bust cave.
So the mirror is pretty exciting. Especially when you're in this part of the world, because you can go and do that Circle of Bushes cave right away. Willard giving us a map check. I think that was a crystal at Turtle Rock and a red crystal at Ice Palace. But I'm actually really intrigued by that key they got out of Hype Cave. That's the third pod key we've seen. And for a lot of runners, that's the point where they say, hey, it's time for me to go to pod.
So interestingly enough, at this point, they do have the ability to go into swamp. Can't finish it without the hook shot. Also, I think Skullwoods was our second red crystal.
And Willard not going west from the bomb hut. Looks like he's going to check the pyramid and then, who knows, maybe up to Catfish, maybe into Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, with Palace of Darkness, you already have 3 small keys, so your pod senses might be tingling a little bit, but you really, with Bow, you kind of want to wait till maybe you have 4 keys to dip into there, potentially, because you could pretty much clear it out completely if you have those 4 keys and the bow.
In fact, if you know what you're doing with your yumps and your routing, you can get through the entire dungeon, including the boss, with just the big key and 4 keys.
Yep.
Alright, so Willard headed up to Catfish, Nifboy headed over to Zora, gonna be a bit behind at this point in the race, but of course, we're only half an hour in. That doesn't mean anything at this point other than Willard got the hammer first. This still can go either way.
All right. Nifboy picking up the hammer from Zora's. Probably gonna, there you go, save and quit. So it'll be interesting to see where Nifboy decides to go from here. Can go to the Hype Cave area as well as potentially Thieves Town, but looks like we're gonna see some Hype Cave action from Nifboy as well.
Catfish with a full heart container for Willard, but at this point, I don't think that's what he's looking for.
He does only have 50 rupees at the moment, so that could be why he didn't go through towards the digging game. I mean,
That's
with the
right.
mirror, you're able to check, you know, the cave south of Haunted Grove as well as Stumpy, but you know, that's just taking a risk that one of those NPCs will have enough rupees. That's 30 rupees.
That's a pretty big gamble to make at this point. I'm not surprised to see Willard. Looks like he's going to check Magic Bat first, and then probably head into the rest of Dark Kakariko, or Village of Outcasts, as the game actually calls it.
All right, so we're going to get to see what we're going to be cursed with today.
Willard, I can't believe you woke this Magic Bat up. He was having such a nice nap. And now you have to carry 20 more rupees. I hope you're happy with what you've done.
Nifboy actually opting to go through the towards the digging game. Gonna be checking Stumpy here, and with the mirror, gonna be able to check that cave. So taking that gamble that we were talking about earlier, finds a small key to pod. Interesting. That is the 4th pod small key.
Pod, 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 pod.
So Nifboy gonna be needing some rupees here, is trying to get to the mirror, but the menu sometimes when you're in this game can be a little rough depending upon what you get. So, ooh, and finds red mail. So Shovel Game requires 80 rupees, which currently Nifboy only has 45. Now I wonder if he realizes that he doesn't have enough rupees, and it doesn't look like it at the moment.
Well, I don't want... Okay, he is going to need that money. This isn't a terrible direction to go in, because he can just walk up north from here, mirror out, and he's already right at the Magic Bat spot.
But opts to save and quit instead. So gonna probably head to Sanctuary and come up through the back area of Kakariko, while Willard is in Skullwoods at the moment. So as we were saying earlier, Skullwoods is in fact a red crystal, but currently Willard could not complete it. Willard's gonna need a sword in order to open the curtains to access Mothula. So can open the back and can get an extra chest because of the fire rod, but still gonna require that sword.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see a sword pretty soon for these runners so that they get that, what I think is one of the most interesting decisions in Randomizer. When do you go fight a boss like Mothula, who's kind of notorious for being nasty in a high pressure situation?
Well,
do you just go and fight that boss with some lower equipment?
Interestingly enough, with the hammer, I feel like Willard will take the risk and go in there with low equipment, but of course, not even having the access to that at the moment. We could see him, you know, not able to come back until much later, depending upon when they pick up a sword. That's the interesting thing about open mode, which is kind of, you know, what the other version of this that we haven't really talked about. It is an open Keysanity seed, so no No swords until they find it. She's not given a sword like right at the uncle, as standard does.
That's right. We've seen races in this tournament where runners got the sword right away, but other races where they were waiting an hour and 20 minutes to find that first sword. So Nifboy's going to check Skullwoods as well, probably come up with the same stuff. Though I will note, Willard did not head to the back part of Skullwoods to check the one chest that was available. It's a long ways out of the way to get there.
Especially if you're gonna have to come back again later.
That's right, and just a small key up on the bumper cable ledge, but I shouldn't say just, because who knows what that small key is for.
So Willard didn't check Lumberjack before, now realizing it's a piece of heart. Probably a little bit of a sigh of relief. Nifboy using the cane strats here to get into the back part of this room here, instead of moving the statue.
Yeah, both runners remembering that if you go one room right from here, you can bomb that wall and pick up a full magic refill here. Not something we see a lot of players, especially speedrunners, go for, but boy does it ever pay off when you have as little magic as these runners started with.
So Nifboy looks like he's going to be checking the back part of Skullwoods here. So again, I hope that he's only checking the one chest. That is the only thing that he can access at the moment from here. And Willard checking the graveyard ledge. Using actually one of the most commonly unknown places or ways to get through that maze for new runners. With just picking up the bushes.
That's right. Without boots or without mitts, it's a very convoluted route to get through there. As Willard finds just $20 in the cave. Oh no,
Oh.
Nifboy, stop, go back.
Nifboy, please.
He got bombs out of the first chest, which are useful to have, but Nifboy, use your mirror, please.
Nifboy unfortunately is going to realize fairly quickly that he's not going to be able to get through this room here. Yep, there it is. So Nifboy is going to be running back through Skullwoods here. Actually is going to be mirroring over to get back into Kakariko. So C-shaped house check for Willard here. Gets a compass. Not really the most important item. It is useful in the fact that it tells you how many chests you've opened inside of a dungeon. But with both of these runners, I don't really think that they require that to know.
No, I think if you can get to a record of 3-1 in this tournament, you're doing enough things right that you don't need something in the game keeping track of your chests for you.
Probably not. So finding the compass for Skullwoods too. Boy, this area is very compass heavy. So we do have the Thieves Town small key, but still no Thieves Town big key. That 300 rupees would have been useful earlier when they went to Zora, though.
When they went to Zora, when they would have wanted to maybe go into pod a bit earlier or do taking game earlier, at least now they'll be set for money.
Yep. Interestingly enough, still at about 40 minutes in, still no movement items, nothing like the hook shot or boots that are going to help these runners make things a little bit faster for themselves. No flute.
And of course, no big key for Thieves Town yet, so we're going to see them check these front 4 chests and then be blocked from the back half. There's the desert big key, but at the moment they can't even get it into desert.
Well, interestingly enough, they do have the Desert Palace small key too. So I feel like we're going to be getting a book or something fairly soon.
Yeah, and that's got to be at the top of their priorities once they get access to desert, either through Flute and Mitts or through the book to get in the front door.
Yeah, it is a pendant, so not specifically like important yet, potentially, unless there's something at the pedestal. But you know, they've gotten a small key and a big key, so sometimes that could be a hint towards another item.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes it could just be a wild goose chase as well. So,
I mean, really, if you think about it, Desert Palace is like every other dungeon in this game. It has something important all the time, except for the times it doesn't. And that was a small key for Desert. Oh, Desert, not Palace of Darkness. I'm getting my D's and my P's confused here.
How many digs today? This is quite the digging game. And both Willard and Nifboy are going to be heading to the digging game and finding another compass after all those digs.
So, at this point, I look at the overworld spots available, and we're, I was going to say we're running a bit low, but now I realize Death Mountain is pretty much open to these runners. It's the least convenient way to get to East Death Mountain, because they'd have to walk up the left side, mirror, and then walk across the bridge and hammer, but there's a lot of chests over there, and I've seen Mitts there more often than I'd expect.
Interestingly enough, it would be a sequence break at the moment with no lamp and no flute.
That is correct.
So sometimes doing these sequence breaks though definitely do help because you're able to find where an item is not going to be. So it helps lead you to a way to find where the item has to be. It's complicated.
Just a bit. But the other options, of course, are to start heading into dungeons down here, and Willard, I think, is going to give us that with Swamp Palace. He's got the flippers, he's got the mirror, he's got that small key and the hammer, but he has no hook shot, so that back half is going to be closed off.
Yep, there is a fair amount of chests in here as well, so Nifboy looking like sorry?
Oh, I believe it's 10 total in Swamp Palace, 6 of which Willard can get now?
Yes. Alright, so first chest, we find a big key for Ganon's Tower. There it is.
Oh, good.
What a key to find.
I like to see that early Ganon's Tower big key. Every so often we get those races where it shows up so late and the runners kind of have to just do a gamble at the end. And I really like it when they don't have to worry about that, when they just have that key, it's out of the way, and they can go through the rest of the game not panicking about it.
So we also found half magic. That's gonna make the Mothula fight and a few other fights in the later game easier for these runners. Depending, of course, on what sword they have by that point. If any.
So Nifboy's going to check the graveyard ledge here, just get 20 bucks out of it. And I'm still sitting here wondering which runner is going to be the first one to go to Palace of Darkness.
It's actually interesting that about 45 minutes into the run, the runners are still missing a vast majority of the items. There is still a lot of blank spaces on that tracker at the moment.
Yeah, including, that annoying little ice rod. Only needed for Trinex, but with Turtle Rock being a crystal today, it's definitely needed for these runners. And who knows where it can be hiding.
So, interestingly enough, Nif is not saving quitting, so it looks like he might actually be heading to Catfish/Pod area over here.
I expect so. I mean, this is the closest he's likely to get to Catfish area for the rest of the seeds, so why not go there while it's not a terrible spot to access?
And nice use of the hammer as well. Ooh, there's that lamp. So now Death Mountain is accessible in the logic. Willard having a little bit of trouble here with the cane.
That switch is rather hard to hit when you don't have a sword or a boomerang coming with you, and you don't want to mess around with bombs, but hey, cane strats will work.
Yep. The cane is a very nice, useful item to have in when you don't have a sword or a few other things. Makes the blind fight a little bit easier too. I definitely enjoy, I think blind cane strats are my favorite strats to use on blind.
And Nifboy headed back down from Catfish, so very probably doing. I spoke too soon. Looks like we could go visit the witch.
And give her some bees for her beekeeping. So without the hookshot, Willard's gonna have to unfortunately go up this little room here twice. Hopefully you're gonna find something of value here. We still don't know whether Swamp Palace is a crystal or a pendant yet.
Well, to be fair, we don't know if Pod is a crystal or a pendant either.
That is true. That is true. Another interesting fact about Keysanity is that the music in the dungeons have actually been randomized as well. So you can go into a dungeon and hear pendant music, but it could in fact be a crystal. So Nifboy heading up towards the pyramid here. We're going to be able to potentially, I feel like we might see Nifboy dip into Pod at this point, with being over on this side of the world.
I think you're right, and I think Willard might be doing the same thing here, because Swamp Palace came up pretty much with nothing for him. Not quite sure where Willard's headed at the moment, but Nifboy's definitely on the road to Palace of Darkness.
I think he probably is going to be heading up Death Mountain at this point. There's of course, Willard hasn't gone up Death Mountain at all. So where Nifboy did sequence break it earlier and did get the save point up there, so he is able to save and quit and go straight to the mountain. But Willard hasn't checked the item on Spectacle Rock, hasn't gotten the item from the old man. We know that both of those are busts. There's also the 20 bombs that are, or 20 bombs? There's also the 3 bombs that are in Spectacle Rock as well. But nothing, we don't have any information on what's on East Death Mountain at the moment.
East Death Mountain, 2 chests at the start of Tower of Hera. Of course, without any keys, they can't get any more. But Nifboy entering Palace of Darkness. I think there's 14 chests total, though, of course, without the big key, 2 of them are going to be blocked to him.
Yeah, and having a mirror is definitely nice in this dungeon. Makes things a little quicker. Finding the big key for Thieves Town.
Oh.
So, and remember, it is much more likely that the dungeons that they find keys for currently are going to be crystal dungeons. Just because at the moment, our only pendant, or we're only missing one pendant. So if there's a dungeon that they don't know what it's for, it's more than likely going to be a crystal. There's only one that's not.
There's another Turtle Rock small key.
Oh, that poor NPC there getting kicked around. Ooh. We found ourselves a magic cape.
Okay. Palace of Darkness looking like a pretty powerful play at this point.
Yeah, definitely. We did get a, interestingly enough, we did get a Aga Tower small key early on as well. Well, Willard is going into Tower of Hera here, or is in Tower of Hera.
Yeah, just bombs in that first spot on the floor, and in that front chest, there's the hook shot.
Whoa! And with no big key or small key for Tower of Hera, that is going to be it. So that's actually a huge deal. So I guess then, Lamp to go up Death Mountain.
Yeah.
Was in Swamp, so you had to technically quote-unquote double dip Swamp, unless he finds the flute in a place that's not locked behind any of those.
Yeah, that's a bit of mean work coming from this speed. Willard just saw a bottle on the floating island, I believe that was, and now he's going to give us that lovely trip down Spiral Cave, whereas Nifboy's cleaning out more and more of Pod and coming up with some great things.
So 50 rupees, unfortunately, is the reward for a Spiral Cave here. So this would actually be right now a really nice place for Willard to find the Titan's mitts. Because that way he's able to check all of East Death Mountain, including the Dark World portion of it. With Hookshot in hand, is even going to be able to check the Hookshot Cave. But
that's absolutely correct. I'm a little bit disappointed that he probably wouldn't have the medallion and the sword required to enter Turtle Rock. But, you know, I can't have everything.
And shoutouts to Nekobus, who has subscribed with Twitch Prime. Super appreciated. Oh, Ice Rod though in Ice Rod though in Pod.
Ice Rod in Pod, Ice Palace Key in Paradox Cave, and I think we also saw a Tower of Hera small key in here.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Willard did quit after getting that Tower of Hera small key. It is quite the time sink, so I don't blame him. But he does have the ability to get it at the moment with the fire sources that he currently has.
That's right. It looks like he's going to head to Palace of Darkness, though, which I think is a strong play here. Tempting as it might be to go back into Swamp Palace, he doesn't know if that's pendant or crystal, if that's required at all at this point, and I can see putting that off until you're sure, because it's a long way to double or backtrack for.
Oh yeah. All right, so Nifboy is going to be heading into Swamp as well, and going to be picking up a couple items here. I think it was just the lamp actually that was in there.
I mean, there was the Ganon's Tower Big Key, which is exciting and relieving to find, but certainly not useful in the present moment.
No. And shoutouts to Tim Lobo as well as Jigokuro. Thank you so much for the subs, super appreciated. Thanks for your continued support of Speed Gaming. So I saw a question here in chat in regards to the Ganon Star big key was also what was in there. Yeah. But yeah, question in chat about the dungeon music. So in the in open and standard mode, generally, if a dungeon is a crystal dungeon, it will give you Dark World music. If a dungeon is in fact a pendant dungeon, it would tell you by playing pendant music. In Keysanity, it is in fact shuffled so that if you walk into a dungeon, you wouldn't be able to immediately tell whether or not it was a crystal or a pendant based on the music. So
That's right. If you want to figure out what's your reward for beating the boss, you either have to find the map or go and actually beat that boss.
Exactly.
So, at this point, both runners retracing each other's steps, both going through dungeons the other completed. I want to point out, neither runner, in what they checked here, found a sword.
Yeah, we're still almost an hour in with no sword.
And that starts me thinking, maybe what they're expected to do is take that hook shot, take the hammer, go to the back half of Swamp Palace, and take out Argus to keep progressing and find a sword somewhere.
So after this, I would say that the next logical place that the runners would go would be to Thieves Town. With both the big key and the small key, and the very high likelihood that it is a crystal, it just seems like that would be kind of the place that you might want to go.
Yeah, that is still available to these runners, and I can see a reluctance to clear it out because you've done the first half. You're wasting a bit of time retracking or retreading that, but 4 chests at the back, as well as potentially a crystal. I'm starting to like that idea. Of course, there is that small key on the Bumper Cave ledge, and we do have the cape for both runners now.
Yeah, I guess Ega Tower would be something for sure.
Oh, that's right. With 1 key, they can grab both chests out of there. Can't complete the tower, of course, but they won't ever need to at this point.
So Willard using the hookshot, this is one of those movement items we were referring to earlier, making things a little bit quicker by hookshotting to items that you're able to hookshot to, bringing you closer to them faster.
Is it a huge time save? Not several minutes, but it does give you, those incremental benefits, which over the course of a 2-hour run, or, with how long it's been since we've seen a sword, could be longer. Over the course of that race, those little bits do add up.
So I believe at this point, Willard is going to be setting up for the hammer yump from the reverse, so... A little bit too high there. Was just going to readjust himself and has it almost down.
Pausing, of course, allows you to move exactly 1 pixel at a time.
Perfect.
To give you exactly the pixel you need to be standing on for that jump to work. As well as pausing helps you count your pixels and make sure you're lined up properly for that jump. And we didn't see Nifboy check these 2 chests in the maze. He didn't have the lamp and I think was a bit shy to do them, but just an Ice Palace small key.
So that's actually 2 Ice Palace small keys.
Yeah, Ice Palace is fully clearable for these runners as long as they can find the Titan's Mitt to get in there.
Yeah, Titan's Mitt is being a bit evasive today. Along with that sword.
Look, we don't need a sword until the runners have to go and complete Skullwoods. Until that point, swords are entirely optional. That's
So
it. I hope we get one.
Nifboy is about to pick up his hook shot here. So I wonder how both these runners are feeling after immediately clearing Swamp Palace and heading into Tower of Hera almost immediately after and finding the hook shot.
Yeah, I start to think, both of them are probably aware that with a sequence break, the other runner could have gone and got that fast hook shot, could have avoided double the big swamp. That could be making each of them think, I hope I didn't lose 2 or 3 minutes to that check in the order I did things in.
Willard forgetting slightly that he does not, in fact, have the Titan's Mitts. He looks like he's going to be heading towards the last part of Skull Woods. He didn't pick up that one chest, or he could also be going to Bumper Cave now that he's got the cape. I think there was a small key up there.
A small key. Which dungeon it's for, we do not yet know.
So this seed has a lot of bees in it. There's a bee in the first bottle. There's a bee on the bottle on the floating island. And then also Willard just had bees floating around while he was running away from Skullwoods.
So I wouldn't actually be surprised if this was a Palace of Darkness key we found right here.
That would be the last one.
It sure would. It would mean logic says they can complete it. But it's a Skull Woods key, which is, in fact, worse than a Palace of Darkness key at this point.
Willard, having red mail at least is able to avoid death via the murder-dactyls there. But again, using those hookshot strats make things a little faster. Looks like Willard is going to be the first one that's back into Thieves Town.
Yeah, he probably at this point is going to clear out the whole dungeon. So we could be seeing him as the first runner to get a crystal tonight. Assuming it comes up as a crystal. If it comes up as a pendant, then my sympathies go out to these runners.
Oh, yeah. Interestingly enough, I still can't believe that we are an hour in and no crystals yet. Just with kind of the luck of the draw.
I mean, it's Keysanity, so I'm not entirely surprised, but I'm a bit disappointed. I am pretty surprised that we still have no sword after an hour.
So Willard making his way through Hellway. Is definitely not a fun room to go through here. Has powder, so that could make things a little bit easier, at least on the way back. Could powder that anti-fairy.
And look at Nifboy's screen. He is headed back up west across the bridge. There's a sword for Willard.
Finally, 1 hour, 3 minutes, 4 minutes in basically. Finding our first sword as Nifboy looks like he's heading back into the basement at Tower of Hera.
Yeah, as we said earlier, this is a slow check. You have to walk all the way back and then wait for 90 seconds in the basement, but Willard didn't check this. This could be a big play for Nifboy.
Yeah, and when you're in a race, it feels like an eternity that you're waiting for this room. Using the cane strat's nice to get those iframes on the blocks here.
I love races like this one where we get an early cane and the runners just get to show off with it. Show off all the tiny little things you can do.
You know,
we're going to see a bit less of that from Willard now that he's got a sword, but...
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if he's going to use the blind strats or blind strats, the cane strats on blind. But interestingly enough, you know, this could be really big if, let's say, the Titan's mitts happen to be what nifboy is about to find. I think nifboy might have went away for a second.
I mean, if you're going to take a moment to step away from your computer or your SNES during a race, the room nifboy's in is the moment to do that.
Yep.
You just still have to get back, and there he is.
Yep.
He's back with us now.
All right, so moment of truth here. We're about to see what is going to be in this chest. Is it a big item? No! Oh, that's disappointing.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right, so here we go. WillardJBradley heading into the blind fight here, pulling out his sword.
Nifboy doing all the checks here on Death Mountain. He's going to go into Spike Cave right here. But go ahead, blind.
So 3 hits required no matter what you're using to hit blind, whether it be hammer, swords, no matter which sword, as well as the cane and the cane beams. Makes this fight look easy. GG gets 5 rupees and a crystal. So 1 hour, 6 minutes in, we obtain our first crystal.
Crystal, a sword from the back half. Okay, that's payoff. And it looks like Nifboy just got 10 arrows out of Spike Cave, so good for him that those 2 locations won't trouble him, but unfortunately that's some time he's going to have to make up somewhere else.
Yeah, those are quite time sink areas. So now that Willard has the sword, he's now able to complete Skullwoods. And Skullwoods is in fact a red crystal dungeon.
Yeah, this works out really nicely for him. He can just go from one to the other.
Yep.
He's going to be doing that moth fight with Fighter's sword, but as you said earlier, he's got the hammer if he wants it. He's got half magic if he wants to use the fire rod. With 10 hearts and red mail, this shouldn't be a too terrible fight for him.
Nope. And Nifboy is heading back into Swamp, so this is going to be the first time that we're seeing Swamp completable. So we still don't know whether or not Swamp is a crystal or a pendant dungeon. Again, the likelihood that it is a crystal dungeon is higher than a pendant because we know where 2 of the pendants are. We're still missing a vast majority of the crystals. Actually looking at it, maybe there's only 2 dungeons we don't know. That's 3. Pod, Skullwood, or Swamp Palace, and Tower of Hera. So it's about 30% chance at the moment.
I believe it's 33.3, repeating, of course, percent chance.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so here we go with the big moth fight. Willard having the red meal. And Mothmila actually being a little bit nice here with where it's, well, I take that back.
As Mothula patterns go, that is pretty much the one I hope for all the time. Great shooting with the fire rod by Willard for Bombos.
Ooh, we still don't know what medallion is required for Turtle Rock, and Bombos does make Cold Stare fight a little bit easier, so that could actually be really good for him. It was a really good fight for Willard.
Yeah, very strong execution from Willard, but actually from both of these players. Again, there's a reason they have a 3-1 record in this tournament so far.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see what Nifboy's going to find in these next couple chests here. you know, at the moment, we're kind of still looking for the Titan's mitts here. It's probably one of the bigger items that they're missing.
That's right. Misery Mire's a pendant today, of course, so flute not strictly required for what they're doing here.
Ooh, but finding that book. Desert Palace now accessible. Although it is a pendant.
But aside from that torch, it is fully accessible to these runners.
So still nothing really, and Nifboy without having a sword is going to have to use the swordless strats on Argus.
And Willard going to follow Nifboy into Swamp Palace as well. Get that book, and a couple minutes after Nifboy, Willard's going to find out if he's got a pendant or a crystal for his trouble here. As Nifboy enters perhaps one of the most tedious boss fights in the game, the Menu % Argus fight, where the only thing he can damage this boss with is the hammer. He just has to keep toggling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yep. This boss fight is definitely interesting to watch. You know, you have to menu very precisely.
I want to give major shoutouts at this point to that shovel in Nifboy's inventory that makes it so he just has to go right and up and then down and left.
Yep.
Alternating to get back and forth. Without that shovel in your inventory, this menuing would be a nightmare for Nifboy to go through.
Yeah. So shoutouts to that shovel. Everyone thank the shovel. So this is gonna be a rough thing now. He's gonna try to use the hammer. So it's gonna require specific positioning, and he does it easily. Nice job by Nifboy.
Level 2 shield, but more importantly, that's a crystal for Nifboy.
So either Pod or Tower of Hera for that last pendant and that last crystal.
Well, this is convenient routing for Nifboy. As Willard gets the book, Nifboy is able to go check the Bombos tablet and read it. Of course, without Master Sword, he can't harvest whatever item's actually on the tablet.
Well, it's a good thing it's just couch cash. But Nifboy did do a really excellent job earlier of clearing Death Mountain. So he might be a little bit disappointed now that he doesn't know what the Ether tablet is after basically full clearing Death Mountain until he gets the Titan's mitts. Not going to really want to go back there just to check the Ether tablet.
And it looks like Nifboy's headed back over to the village, probably the Dark World area. I expect we'll see him get that Skull Woods key, head through Thieves Town, and probably do Skull Woods right after Thieves once he gets that sword.
So Willard was doing the spin strats with the fighter sword. You can actually slash them with the fighter sword, so is now opting just to use hammer. It is a little bit faster if you're not getting the spins on the puffs.
I want to give negative shoutouts to that Bombos medallion in Willard's inventory, which makes him do an extra button press every time he navigates his menu.
Shoutouts to Bombos. Always ruining things.
Fortunately, Willard has that full bar of magic, so he can just fire away with that fire rod pretty indiscriminately. That'll give him a nice, easy phase 2 as he picks up his 3rd crystal.
So at this point, we know Ice Palace is a crystal, Turtle Rock is a crystal, Eastern Palace is a crystal. No Titan's Mitts to do both Turtle Rock or Ice Palace, but a vast majority of the items that they have, or they have a vast majority of the items that they need for those dungeons. Turtle Rock still requiring at least 1 more small key if he's going to go straight to the boss. And Eastern Palace, no big key. So not able to do any of those. So now it's just going to be a lot of overworld checking or going into potentially pendant dungeons like Desert Palace.
Yeah, over, what have we had, 4.5 weeks of this tournament so far. This is a common theme I see in Keysanity is you get to this point, you have all these options kind of open, and it's just a question of who's going to find the bottleneck first and get that 1 more item that opens up the rest of the seed. And I see people in chat pointing out Castle Tower. That's starting to be my thought.
Yeah, I know that we've had some people rooting for Castle Tower fairly early on, so it'll be interesting to see if what we find there, if we find anything. Nifboy finding his first sword, I bet you he's quite unimpressed by that, bombing it, unfortunately.
And right side of Desert just having a piece of heart in the 2nd chest, but I think we missed the Titan's Myth in the 1st chest for Willard, so there's a lot of Dark World access we were hoping for earlier.
Yeah, Nifboy could have actually done this while he was close by as well with checking the Bombos tablet, but opted to go instead to Thieves Town. I definitely don't blame him because Thieves Town is in fact an unknown, whereas Desert Palace was in fact a pendant. So, but unfortunately, it's just not going to pay out if Nifboy doesn't come back here fairly soon. Also, shoutouts to Konizi Obrizi for the gifting of the subs. Super appreciated. Thanks so much for your continued support of Speed Gaming.
That was a lot of gifts we saw dropped.
That was.
Alright, so Willard's able to grab that heart container on the ledge. If he really wants it, at this point he's got 14 hearts in red mail. That may not be worth the time for him
And
as he heads straight to the back half.
And the maiden in a very fancy, nice red dress here because of the sprite change here. Something actually interesting to note about the sprites is they do actually change some of the NPCs.
Yeah, in particular, I think it's the maiden and the thief in the cave in the forest and the old woman in front of the chicken house seem to change the most from that.
The runner actually in front of the chicken lady also changes. So there's that cane strats we were talking about earlier, Nifboy.
Nifboy, this is what I like to see.
Yeah, nice. Able to use the cane strats as well as the slashes here, or spins, sorry, on the sword. Very nicely done. Gets the blind kill, and Nifboy obtains his 2nd crystal.
Willard lands 2 fire rod shots on the first 2 landmosts, but that 3rd one escapes him. But a 2-cycle fight against landmost still very good. But just a piece of heart for finishing off the dungeon.
So at this point, we have Titan's Mitts. and we're able to fully clear Ice Palace. I feel like that is kind of the next place that...
It's got to be the play.
Yeah.
Not only is it a crystal, it's a red crystal. You can take that, you can go to Pyramid Fairy, and, you know, Turtle Rock's a tempting play. We've been saying that all night, but they still don't have the big key, they still don't have a third small key. I think you want those things before you head into Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Alright, so it does look like, in fact, WillardJBradley is heading into Ice Palace right now. Nifboy picking up the bumper cave key here. Getting attacked by that Murderdactyl on the way down. So, I believe that we'll see Nifboy heading into Skullwoods at this time. And with just finding that Titan's Mitt, we still don't know what the medallion is, in fact, for Turtle Rock. So we might still be looking for a medallion on top of, you know, the big keys and some small keys. So it'll be interesting to see. Oh, big key for Misermeyer. That is not what that is not the big key that we are looking for at this moment.
So Nifboy's going to head through Skullwoods. He's going to clear out Mothula, of course. And then, I wonder, he's got the mirror, he's got the book, he's in the neighborhood. Are we going to see a pedestal check from him? I know that's what chat wants to see, but do you think we'll see one?
I feel like it's better to have that knowledge than not. So it does take a little bit of extra time, but, you know, if you're already here, it kind of does sound like a little bit of a good idea. It is a really low chance still, but
that's right. At this point, I think either it's a medallion or a big key of some sort that would need to be on the pedestal.
Exactly. Willard, unfortunately, getting hit by a lot of those spikes there, is going to be setting up for the bomb jump. Nails it first try. As Nifboy is in this Mothula fight, Mothula giving Nifboy a little bit more of a hard time. Just based on positioning. These are not the patterns
Willard had.
Yeah, not at all.
Ooh, really getting jostled by the spikes. Red mail is great, but of course spikes still do a full heart every time they hit you.
But having that blue potion is definitely going to be a saving grace for Nifboy, and gets the Mothula kill. Nicely done. Picks up Bombos. And Nifboy's third crystal.
So at this point, I think Nifboy is down to Desert Palace. Probably has to go get his Titan's Mitt from there before there's much else he can check on, but he's switching to the mirror. Chad, if you're hoping for a pedestal seed...
Oh, my goodness.
We're going to find out.
And Willard picking up the flute. Goodness gracious. Wait, what? A small key to what?
Of terror pins. That means Turtle Rock.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. That's fascinating.
Well, hopefully there's another small key for Turtle Rock somewhere nearby.
I mean, yeah, you can skip the chest that normally has the big key, that lava room chest. You can skip that, steal the key, and go beat Trinex with only 3, but...
Yeah, what if the big key or something for Pod is there, or the big key for Eastern Palace is there? Or the big key for Turtle... Oh no, it's already... We've already found that. But Willard found Quake, interestingly enough. Having a little bit of trouble with these enemies here.
And it is worth pointing out, according to the logic, this is absolutely pedestal required. It's just the case of these runners know what they're doing, they know what doors to avoid opening if they want to go straight to the bosses, and so as long as that lava chest isn't required, they don't need to touch the pedestal.
Now, I wonder if you know that the Turtle Rock small key is there. Yeah, I'm interested to see how these runners go about routing the seed now. Well, at least nifboy, knowing that that Turtle Rock key is there, but oh my goodness!
Well,
well, there's the third Turtle Rock key. Well, I guess the fourth one.
So I think in nifboy's case, you go through as much of the seed as you can without trying to do the pedestal, and only as a last resort do you start going, okay, fine, I'll go get that key.
All right, so we're about to see, we're about to see what is an egg tower. So we're still missing a sword upgrade. We're still missing the Eastern Palace big key, Tower of Hera big key, pod big key. There's still a lot of things that we don't know where they are at the moment. So unfortunately, Castle Tower not paying off for nifboy.
No, and I don't think Willard's found much of value out of Ice Palace. Although, of course, with the red crystal at the bottom, it's gotta be useful.
Well, Ice Palace did have the flute, and it did have Quake.
Oh, of course.
I mean, if Mizurmire is in fact, not anything of value, then yes, definitely he didn't find anything of value here, but we will see. I'm interested to see at this point what Willard does. Because I feel like activating the flute and checking at least, like, with the Titan's Mitts, there's so much he can do right now.
There is a ton of stuff open to Willard, and at this point, that could be working against him, because to beat Turtle Rock, he's going to need another small key. And as we were just saying, we know where those two are. One's on the pedestal, one's in the dark sewers of the castle. Neither one is an easy find for him when you have Titan's Mitt and the rest of the world just opened up for you. Although, he's going to do the Pyramid Fairy check here, and that could lead him straight into the castle.
So nifboy now heading into Desert Palace is going to be picking up his Titan's Mitt, and I feel like that's going to be a little bit better for nifboy now with finding it after finding the Turtle Rock small key.
That's right. I expect nifboy will still clear out Ice Palace while he's down here, but we could be seeing him make pretty direct play up to Dark Death Mountain and Turtle Rock just because he knows he can clear it out when he goes there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see a map. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to find out whether or not Tower of Hera or Pod is a crystal or pendant.
And it does look like Willard's going to go up the castle tower. He's walking all the way up the pyramid so he can mirror and then cape through this barrier.
I wonder if this will lead him to the other Turtle Rock key.
For his sake, I sure hope it does.
Yeah, he's in the neighborhood, so as long as he's been keeping track, he should remember that there is one chest remaining. Nifboy picking up the other heart container on the ledge. Definitely not a bad idea. So we know that Willard is about to get a bottle here. mirroring out instead of saving and quitting, so I believe that that is in fact him now going to be going into the into the basement area, the sewers.
Yeah, that's a good sign for him. Alright, if you're a WillardJBradley fan, you can breathe a sigh of relief. He is going to go grab that chest. Meanwhile, Nifboy's going to head through Desert Palace, get that pendant, but of course, no real other value unless it turns out that indeed that final chest was required.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested to see what is in that chest in Turtle Rock. That both of them are probably going to be skipping until the very end. If there's no other place left. So one more fire rod shot from Nifboy here, and then Lanmo will be down. Nifboy will obtain his heart piece and his pendant. So Willard looks like he's about to go activate the flute. Yeah. And I think that at this point probably we'll be heading over towards Misery Mire area. It'll be interesting to see whether or not, or what the medallion is required for Misery Mire.
Well, you know, at this point, he's got those 3 Turtle Rock keys. He might be headed up there now that he feels confident he can beat the dungeon. Misery Mire, of course, clearable if he can get inside, but still a pendant dungeon. We'll have to see where he goes.
Yeah, Misery Mire does have 8 chests inside of it. Well, 8 items, including Vitreous, so... maybe...
Plus, Vitreous drops that green pendant that gives them access to Sahasrahla.
Yeah. We have the, ooh, I did not see what... Oh, Quake. Well, getting Quake from Ice Palace did unlock Misery Mire. Big key for Tower of Hera. If Tower of Hera is our last crystal, then that could be a big deal. If Tower of Hera, though, is in fact a pendant. Because we know in the logic at the moment, it is a pedestal seed, which means all the pendant dungeons must be completable before they finish Turtle Rock. That could be an interesting thing. Oh, but finding the boots in Checkerboard Cave. Alright, so we're about to open, Nifboy is about to open up Turtle Rock. With three, oh, and Bombos is the required, medallion there. Willard picking up the last key that he needs for Pod. The last small key that he needs for Pod, but still no big key. With Nifboy opening up Turtle Rock, though, this could really be interesting. Alright, so Nifboy in the hookshot cave here, and Willard picking up the big key for Pod. Oh my goodness, Nifboy picking up the ether tablet as well. Or the ether tablet, the ether medallion, goodness gracious. This is actually quite crazy. They're currently only looking for the Eastern Palace big key. Man, this is actually quite a huge deal at the moment. So currently, the only thing that would prevent these two from completing this seed and forcing them to go to the pedestal is if the Eastern Palace big key is in the Turtle Rock lava chest. Besides that, they have everything else. So which gamble would they take? It looks like Willard might be opting to take the Tower of Hera gamble to see whether or not that is a crystal or a pendant.
Yeah, I think at this point you do kind of just keep checking stuff to narrow down your options, and Willard doesn't know what's on the pedestal. So Willard could still be holding out hope that he gets that 4th Turtle Rock key and doesn't have to worry about skipping that chest.
So Ether Tablet is a sword. They do still need a sword, but a sword in the lava chest is not going to prevent them from completing this seed, as there will still be 2 other swords that they're able to find in the world somewhere. Like right there in Turtle Rock. So this is really interesting. And another big key for Eastern Palace. There it is.
Ooh.
The last big key. That lava chest is not required. So as long as Nifboy goes past that chest, then eventually he's gonna run into the pod big key and the Tower of Hera big key.
Yeah, that's as long as he goes and finds those.
Yep.
At this point, this far in the tournament, I think both runners have seen enough races, seen enough other runners get into trouble for checking that chest and losing the key. We'll probably see Nifboy skip that.
Another big key
Oh,
for
gosh.
Skullwits. What is this dungeon? So we need to find out, we're about to find out right now whether or not this is Tower of Hera is a crystal or a pendant here. And gets the last crystal. So Pod is in fact the last pendant.
Well, that's fantastic for Willard here. He's now up to, I believe it's 5 crystals. And shortly after he sets foot in Turtle Rock, he's going to find that Eastern Palace key, and that should put him in go mode. The only problem is, it'll be go mode where he's got Master Sword and no silvers.
Yep. So we saw Nifboy skipping that middle chest, which we know is the right play for Nifboy at the moment. So Willard going into Turtle Rock, he's gonna find himself in go mode very, very shortly. Nifboy needs to go into Ice Palace fairly badly to pick up the flute in order to lead him to some more big keys. So Willard is going to go pick up some other things quickly before going into Turtle Rock. I don't blame him. Potentially looking for that last Turtle Rock small key.
Yeah, and now my question is just, where are the rest of these swords?
It seems like a vast majority of them are probably going to be in Ganon's Tower at this point, or even in Misery Mire. They do technically have access to it. The seed did give it to them. So, could potentially be there.
I guess the other question then that I have is, you know, if those swords are hiding in Misery Mire in a bad part of Ganon's tower basement, do these runners even look for them, or do they just soldier on, finishing as fast as they can and banking on their ability to complete Master Sword Silverless, which I think they both can. I think they just both don't want to.
Oh yeah, I mean, any runner would prefer not to do Master Sword Ganon Silverless, but I definitely do feel like they'll probably gamble on finding a sword up the tower more than they would gamble on finding, you know, or wait, I guess gamble on the other runner, you know, still looking for it.
That's right. And again, both these runners need to win today if they want to keep playing in this tournament. This is the 5th of the Swiss round matches. Whoever wins this goes on to the big tiebreaker race for everyone on 4 and 1. And whoever loses is done with this tournament. So that's got to be weighing on their minds, as both think, you know, I just can't lose tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the interesting things about these later matches when you're 3 and 1 here, is it could be really, you know, any point could be the turning point for the race, and yeah, it must weigh pretty heavy on the mind.
So, I believe Willard has just entered Go mode now that he's got that Eastern Palace big key. And just to briefly say something about that tiebreaker race, that will be held in the afternoon of March 10th. And we can't tell you at this moment how many people from that race will advance on to the bracket stages. It's going to be either 1 or 2 people. And the number of people required, or who can advance, is going to be determined by the outcome of the match after this one. That'll be In the Name of DT versus Andy right here on Speed Gaming at 9 p.m. Eastern. So stick around for that match, because not only is it a great match between 2 great runners, it's going to determine a lot about how the tiebreaker round of this tournament plays out.
Yeah, it's another one of the fantastic runs that we were talking about earlier. With the later rounds of the Swiss, it's definitely interesting, the matches that we're getting. We have a bunch of really good matchups this round of the Swiss. So, and this race too, these runners are doing an excellent job. We saw right at the beginning how synced they were. Now it's just coming down to finding the right items in the right order.
Yeah, at this point, I do think Willard has the lead. He ended up going to Ice a bit earlier, which paid off. He ended up going to Desert directly after Swamp, which gave him the Titan's Mitts, which really opened up the seed for him. As a result, he's got a bit less to do in this seed than Nifboy does, but Nifboy still putting up a very, very strong fight today.
And with Willard in Go mode, I'm going to be, of course, skipping that middle chest. Definitely not picking it up.
And it looks like Nifboy is headed back to Ice Palace. He knows this is a red crystal, hopefully. For his sake at this point, he's got to just clear things like he's in Go mode.
Well, he needs that flute.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he definitely needs that flute, because that's going to lead him to the remaining big keys that he needs.
That's right. So, for Nifboy's sake, I hope he checks all his chests and doesn't treat this dungeon like he's in Go mode.
And those mini Helmosaurs being butts in Turtle Rock, blocking those beams. So Willard is heading into the Trinix fight right now as nifboy is continuing through Ice Palace. Gonna need to pick up this flute. And he's not gonna be able to go mode this because of the fact that he's missing so many small key or so many big keys.
Now this Trinix fight is considered fairly easy by most runners when they're carrying Tempered. When you only have Master Sword, you have to get a bit creative. Fortunately, Willard has the half magic here, as did nifboy, so they just are able to spam those Fire Rod shots, take out the Ice Head, and then use Hammer on the final stage of the boss, though that boss is running away from Willard like crazy.
Yep. He does have red mail, so he can take a few more hits before things start to get dangerous, and takes care of Trinix really easily. nifboy, in fact, not doing the bomb jump because he knows he does have to clear the dungeon in its completion, as he's still missing some items here. So Willard picking up his 6th crystal, just Eastern Palace remaining.
That's right, just Eastern Palace to go. He can flute pretty much directly to it. And as a bonus, he can check the big chest while he's in there, because without the big key, they couldn't do that on their first trip.
And there's the flute for nifboy. So hopefully after this leads him towards the Misery Mire area, because that's where he's going to find those keys. And that will put him in go mode.
That at will. The problem for nifboy at this point is he can't treat this dungeon like he's in go mode. He has to full clear it for his own sanity.
Absolutely. The last thing you want to do is have to come back to Ice Palace for something that you missed when you could have done it while you were already here. It's quite a lengthy dungeon to come back to later.
Oh, but just 20 bucks in that big chest of Eastern.
So still not a sword. We still have Ganon's Tower or Misery Mire.
For sword locations?
Yep.
Or Sahasrahla.
That's true. Definitely not pedestal. Know what that is already.
Yes, for those that missed it earlier, Pedestal tonight has a small key for Turtle Rock, which was not required for these runners, but the logic did want them to go and do it.
So Willard probably gonna be getting the quick kill here on Armos. Oh
Ooh.
No, commentator curse. I'm sorry, Willard.
Had he done it, what is the quick kill on Armos?
The quick kill on Armos is getting that last arrow hit on the final Armos before he turns red. So you hit that final Armos with 2 arrows before switching over and changing targets to another Armos. That way when you hit the last Armos and immediately fire an arrow afterwards, you're going to get a couple, like 2 hits off and kill both of them pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, it's a neat little time-saving trick that unfortunately Willard didn't quite get here, but he was well lined up for it. And Nifboy taking on Cold Stare here, going to have a slightly easier fight than Willard did just because he's not trying to do this with Fighter Sword, but either way, that's Cold Stare down for Nifboy.
That was incredibly fast. That was nicely done. With Fire Rod, it's a lot easier than just slashing around with the Master Sword. So
that'll be 5 crystals for Nifboy. But WillardJBradley in the lead at this point, with 7 full crystals on his way to Ganon's tower. Does that mean anything special?
Well, it definitely doesn't mean that we're gonna get a Ganon's Tower big key guessing game in, because we've already found it.
If you guessed the first chest in Swamp Palace, you were correct and have amazing powers of prediction, because I couldn't have guessed that at the start of the seed.
All right, here we go. Now it's more about will Willard just go into the first couple chests on the right or left to see if there's a sword upgrade, which it looks like that's exactly what he's doing.
Is that a small key for this dungeon? That was.
That was. Well, another small key. Wow, we're getting a lot of small keys today. And thank you so much to Problems IRL for the Twitch subs, super appreciated, and for all the gifted subs today. Seriously, Kunizi, super appreciated.
Alright, so Willard checks those 3 locations available to him at the start, and then says, I don't want to waste any more time. You know, I think at this point, he's probably hoping he's ahead. And he's routed this seed so very well. I just wonder if that double dip he had to do into Swamp is eating away at him a bit. And he might feel a bit of a time crunch at this point.
Oh, and Nifboy is unfortunately heading to Pod. Nifboy doesn't have the knowledge that Pod is a pendant. Also doesn't have the Pod big key at the moment, unless I missed something.
So I think what he's doing, and I might be wrong on this, but I think he's going in.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about what that was, but I think Nifboy's going to go into Eastern, clear this out, kind of hedging his bets that if he pulls the Pod big key here, he can go back into the dungeon. Or go into the Dark World, and then clear out Pod.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing too hard. Okay. So yeah, Willard not gonna powder the anti-fairy? No, is gonna powder the anti-fairy. So his timing on Lanmo is going to change a little bit.
Again, without Silver, it's going to have to rely on that Fire Rod, but with Half Magic, not a problem. Quick 2 cycle, there goes Lanmo.
Using the cane, gonna be able to get some nice, easy kills on the Wizrobes. I really like that strategy. It's interesting when you don't have the cane as Sabaria, because you have to sometimes come up with different ways of killing those. And we've seen a few times somebody actually using arrows and they're able to get the 1 cycle. It's incredibly impressive.
As a kid doing casual play of this game, I always just used the Ether Medallion, which is 100% effective and incredibly slow. The first time I saw someone use the cane in that room, I just said, my Gosh, my whole life has changed.
I genuinely thought you were gonna say, by gosh, that's gotta be Kane.
No!
Alright, time to see. Moment of truth. Are we gonna find a sword? No, we're not.
There is, what, 2 more chests for Willard to check, as Nifboy takes out the Armos and gets the blue cane. Unfortunately for him, still doesn't know that Tower of Hera is where he needs to go. Still doesn't know where those final big keys are.
I'm pretty sure that Nifboy like fully cleared this dungeon, minus the
I don't
boss.
think Nifboy did the Dark Maze.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that. Willard making very quick work of Moldorm 2. And picks up, unfortunately, just the red boomerang, so still no swords.
How much damage does the red boomerang do to Ganon?
On a scale of 1 to 0, which is completely the wrong type of scale.
On a scale of 1 to 0, how much damage does it do?
0.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Also, shoutouts to Sticky for the Twitch Prime sub, super appreciated. As Willard goes into the Aga 2 fight, gonna be getting the 1 hit there on the first one. Nice hit with the second one. Unfortunately, getting blue balled, so not able to get that second thing. I don't know, magic ball in his face. Oh, and very nice triple.
Yes, Willard, you have the hook shot, and that is a door.
Dinner is ready. All right, now Willard heading into the Ganon fight here. Will be a little bit trickier with the Master Sword, but still with these runners being 3 and 1, you'll see that Master Sword, Ganon, not necessarily the toughest thing for them.
No, and Willard knows what he's doing here. Getting off that spin attack where he bounces his sword off the trident so that he can hit Ganon twice at once, then using the wall for the same effect. He needs, what, 12 spins in this phase, and he's just mowing through them.
Yep. You'll see him go to the top corner here, and as long as he's got his timing down now, we're going to see a bunch more hits here. And as the fire bats spin around, he's going to quickly dodge down, and there we go. Nicely done. And Nifboy now picking up the big key for Tower of Hera. So that's going to be Nifboy's last, or Nifboy's second last, I guess, big key. No, Nifboy doesn't need anymore. He's got Eastern
Nifboy,
Palace.
You can't flute here.
You need to be in the light world. Yeah, this honestly, this fight for Willard is going absolutely fantastically. He does have some potions on the ready. So, oh, the silver arrows, though, were in Ganon's tower. So 24 spins needed for Ganon here. Ooh, missing one of the fire rod shots there. Again, he does have a potion, so getting the triple, that's a nice touch here.
At this point, it's just a matter of time for Willard before he can take out this pig.
Yep. Nifboy looks like he's heading towards Tower of Hera right now, which is going to be Nifboy's last crystal. And interestingly enough, if we would have gone to Turtle Rock, he would have been able to just use the portal there, go into the Dark World and near in front of Tower of Hera, having access right there. so that when he came out of Tower of Hera would be able to go right back into Ganon's tower.
Yeah, I think Nifboy still doesn't know whether or not he's going to get a crystal or a pendant out of this, so I can see the value in just going straight through. But, you know, at this point, he's playing well, but it's not going to be enough. Willard, I've lost count of how many spins he's got on Ganon because 24 is a very high number. Higher than I care to count.
Definitely higher than 23. And GG.
There we have it, 24 hits.
That was a very, very well done Ganon fight. And GG to WillardJBradley, finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 0 minutes, and 26 seconds.
You know, it was less than an hour ago that he picked up his first sword. For what these runners went through, that's a pretty good time to have pulled off today.
All right, we have Nifboy, who's currently going through the Tower of Hera, and now has basically everything that he needs in order to complete the seed. Now, I wonder at this point whether or Nifboy does know that Willard has not done. I wonder if he's going to take a little bit more time to look for the swords.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave us a bit of a show, found the sword. We know the silvers are in G Tower, so we might find them there. I'd be curious to see that. But it looks like we are joined by the WillardJBradley in voice here. Willard, congratulations.
Thank you.
Man, that must have been a huge sigh of relief to done and know, you know, you're now guaranteed a spot in the tiebreaker race.
Yeah, man, after that seed, though, I don't even know if I want to play that race. No, I'm kidding. It's just like, this seed was all kinds of... I mean, starting off with the Zora farming, and then just every which way. I had no idea where I was in the race against Nifboy. Where is he at right now?
He's currently just completed Tower of Hera, which is his last crystal, and he's right in front of Ganon's tower, but he's going to have to go into the Dark World to get to Ganon's tower.
If you're wondering, he is still on Master Sword. He still doesn't have silvers.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that's not cool, but that's... I was like, where... Like, it took... What was my first sword? Like, an hour in or something?
I believe it was an hour and 6 minutes in, or something like that. Or maybe that was your first crystal. It was very, very close. You got your first sword and then first crystal immediately after.
Yeah, that was something. Wow. Honestly, I felt like, given how crazy the seed was, I played it very well. The only mistake in my mind, which isn't a mistake at all, was not sequence breaking up to Death Mountain early to get that hook shot, so I could have done Swamp in one go. But at the same time, I feel like had I done that, there's like a slight chance that I would have like, I don't know, missed something or went to one place too early or something along those lines. So it ended up working out in the end, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Nifboy did end up sequence breaking up to up Death Mountain a little bit earlier, but that was before Nifboy had Dark World access. This was while you were farming Zora rupees.
Oh, okay.
So still didn't have the mirror. So because of that, actually, Nifboy ended up not going to Tower of Hera until even later than you did.
Oh wow! Like the first time or the second time?
The first time.
Both times.
So yeah, it ended up working out where you had got the hammer from Zora, had gone to get the mirror, and then, you know, later on had gone to Tower of Hera, whereas while you were at Zora, Nifboy was on Death Mountain, but did not have the mirror and did not have Dark World access.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
So, fun fact, this was in fact a pedestal required seed due to logic, quote unquote. but
Was it a T-Rock key?
it was a T-Rock key that was on the pedestal.
Dude, and I was so close. I almost opened that door by mistake. I zoned out for a second when I was trying to get the key, and I was like a couple pixels away from almost unlocking that door. I would have soft reset right then and there.
You were walking so close to that door, I thought something might just knock you into it by accident.
Yeah, I realized my mistake after not unlocking that door, how close that was. I'm like, oh man, that would have been horrible, because I was in go mode by that point.
Yep. And
But-
that would have been the worst thing to happen.
I mean, yeah. I'm very happy that I decided to hit up the Mire area first before heading up to Death Mountain for the first time? Second time.
Oh wait, yeah.
Getting not only the Tower of Hera big key, which turned out to be required, because I still was like, I don't know, is it Tower of Hera or is it Pod? And I was feeling Pod because I had like 5 of the keys already, so it's like, well, they wouldn't give me all these keys if they didn't want me to go beat it. But then, they did want me to go beat it by the logic.
Yeah.
Nifty. And then finding the boots in Checkerboard Cave was really nice. Just a nice way to speed things up a little bit towards the end.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Finding Flute and Quake in Ice Palace, that basically gave you Misery Mire access. So when you went to Misery Mire, what were you thinking? I'm really curious when you were at the the Mire area and you had everything needed to get in there.
I thought about it. I really did. I was like, all right, let's find out what medallion I need. Oh, it's Quake. Okay, I got that not too long ago, but I had my mind set on going up to T-Rock anyway, and it was the Tower of Hera big key that really sold it for me. So I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll go up, we'll do Tower of Hera, we'll find out what our last crystal is, and then we can go from there. And then I get the boots, and I immediately find the pod key in Bonk Rocks, and I'm like, well, now I don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
So, I still decided to go up and do Death Mountain anyway, because I had the 3 keys for T-Rock. I didn't know what medallion I needed for it, so if anything, I was at least going to go up there, finish Tower of Hera, and get some info about T-Rock. And turned out to be Bombos, which I had, and then Eastern Palace big key in the first chest, and Master Sword on the right side. So
Yeah.
everything just kind of worked out. But I was still kind of like hesitant. I didn't want to I wanted to check a few more chests anyway, just in case I found Silvers or a Tempered Sword, just because I rarely get to do... I rarely have to do Master Sword Silverless, so I'm not necessarily like practiced at it, but for the most part, it went really well. I was happy with that Master Sword Silverless Ganon.
Yeah, honestly, that Ganon fight was fantastic.
So close to the sub 2. I'm so mad though. So close. Could have had it. If I just had like a pinch more magic and didn't have to spend time using a green potion, would have been different.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. You almost ran out of magic in the torch room though, with those fantastic lamp strats.
I knew what I was doing. Don't worry. I do that. I end up doing that all the time because it usually turns out to be just enough. So, yeah. Let's see. Anything else? I had a good laugh when I went in the swamp and found the lamp. Because I was kind of like half expecting it to be there or to be like beginning of pod. And it was there. I was like, okay, well, that's something. And then it's just funny that the game wants you to dive swamp without the hookshot to go get the hookshot.
Yep.
It's gross.
Yep.
But yeah, once I got into the Dark World, I felt like my routing was very dependent on rupees or a lack thereof. I was going to go left to go do like digging game, but I didn't have any rupees. So then I made the long tour all the way around. And then I was like, I really want to go to pod because I think I had 3 keys at the time and didn't have any rupees. So, and then all of a sudden there was like 600 rupees in pod. So
we did talk about that actually. We were like, oh, he didn't go towards the digging game. Well, I guess it's because he's broke.
Yeah, it really was.
Steps into Thieves Town, 300 rupees. Okay, there's all the money they need.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've had to farm rupees for Zora, so to the point where like even Houlihan wasn't enough. So did Nifboy do Houlihan?
Yeah, later. but not right off the bat. Ooh, Nifboy, unfortunately, struggling a little bit here with Moldorm too. Getting knocked off a couple times now.
Nifboy had picked up the flippers before Houlihan, so he ended up doing it from Sank Rocks, or Sank entrance, but same effect.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. It was pretty funny getting the flippers in an Ice Rock Cave. It kind of altered my routing. Because normally I would always go Ice Rock Cave and then at least fake flipper to Hobo. But then I got flippers. I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and check everything. And then I went ahead and got that small key on Zora's Ledge, because you never know. And that was a pod key, I think, so...
We were saying, you know, what would have been ironic is if the hobo had 300 rupees.
Yeah. It's like when I finally got a sword and I was going in to finish off Mothula and I skipped that chest again. I was like, if there's a sword in there, I'm going to be mad all over again.
Yeah, this seed was a little bit interesting with how it made you route all over the place. It would have been pedestal required. It would have logically made you double dip swamp. So yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, where was the last pod key was on the library as well. So that was also a force, or maybe I already forgot what was in pod. I know the cape was, but that didn't lead to anything except for blue potion.
Cape led to a key on the ledge, but I don't remember what it was.
It was a Skullwoods key.
Oh.
Which I was really mad about. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. Skullwoods, most useless keys.
Oh, and yeah, Ice Palace made me extremely mad. You know, immediately big key, and I'm like, oh, it's a Meyer big key. I was like, all right, now I just need the flute. And then there was. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, flute and Quake and Meyer big key all in Ice Palace.
I take it Nifboy did not dive into Meyer.
Nifboy did not dive into Meyer.
Nice.
Nope. Nifboy dived into Nifboy did Spike Cave.
Okay.
And something else early on.
Harrow Basement.
Harrow Basement, there we go. That lost him a bit of time.
Yeah, I thought about it, but instead I didn't do them. The plan was finish Hera, and then I got surprised by the crystal. I was like, sweet. So then I was like, I'll just go ahead and do T-Rock in the, checkerboard cave, or not checkerboard, hookshot cave and all that. And if I don't find what I need in T-Rock, then I'll go back and do Hera Basement Spike Cave. That was the plan.
So we have Nifboy currently in the Ganon fight right now. Nifboy did not find silvers or a sword upgrade either. So
I was so close to checking the Stalfos room, but then Stalfos ran into me, so I said, all right, fine, I won't do it. So I know the silvers are in there somewhere, and I'm sure there are probably like 2 swords. Maybe one in Meyer.
yeah, there is 8 items or whatever that was in Meyer that we didn't get to see, so could literally be in either of those locations.
I did like your use of that middle door in Ganon's tower basement, because you walked into the dungeon with 2 keys. You only need 1 to climb the tower. Then you found a 3rd one right away, and so you just said, you know what? No one ever uses this middle door. I'm going to check the torch.
And then the torch was another key.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I don't know what to make of that. I'm out of here. That was funny.
Yeah, and then I think you got hit by that was when you got hit by the Stalfos, was trying to grab that key.
Oh, I didn't want that. I was just going to try and go around and go left.
Oh.
Because I was half thinking about going over to at least check 4 more, but I'm like, because I was feeling that if my opponent was right next to me, like neck and neck with me, that he would probably check the 2 on the right and then the ones up the gauntlet. Oh, no.
Yeah, Nifboy's just missed the torch glitch.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a bit of a time. I'm confident in his ability to get the 24 hits. He just has to manage his magic properly.
Yeah, and I think he does have a potion.
No, he just use it. He's just got to be... To be honest, I would fall and restart the fight. This is going to be really obnoxious, but that's what I would do. Well, I don't know.
You've done this fight already, Willard. You don't have to keep doing decisions.
Interestingly enough, Nifboy is running into a situation where if you light the 2 torches at the exact same moment, the left torch doesn't go out, and you have to actually light it again, and he doesn't realize it, so he's continuing to light the right torch. He did not get another torch glitch.
So it's the opposite torch glitch.
Yeah, it's the torch on the left side is actually out, but the game actually still lights it. So it's another frame perfect glitch. So he needs to light the torch on the left side. So I think he's wondering what's going on, but I think he's going to continue. He needs to light that left torch. There we go. Now he's got it. The fake torch glitch, I think, is what it's called. Yeah.
That is not something I've run into in all my playing of this game. That's a weird one.
I did, like, one of the first weeks I was playing this game. That's the only reason I know about it.
Well, chat, now you know about it too, and you can avoid it if it ever comes up.
Yeah, you just need to light the other torch, that's all. Oh no, but nifboy taking the fall!
And at this point, it does look like he's decided he's not going to play this out. He's going to forfeit from this, which I understand at that point. That was a bit frustrating to run into at the last moment. It does look like he wants to join us for some talking, though. Nifboy, GG there. Tough finish with that reverse torch glitch.
Yeah, I did figure it out after. It's like, wait a minute, is that actually unlit or is it actually lit? It's like, wait a minute. And then I felt like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's you happen to light both the torches at the exact same frame, which causes a frame perfect glitch where the left torch is not actually lit but stays lit on the screen for some reason. So
well, glad to know.
Yeah, what a crazy seed. It had you running all over everywhere looking for these big keys. One of the of course, one of the major points of Keysanity, you know, big keys always trolling. What did you feel like when you saw, though, that Turtle Rock small key on the pedestal? Because you were the only one who looked at it.
I did not know what small key that was. I looked at it, and I'm like, wait, what was that hint? And then I looked at it again, I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. Whatever.
Well, well, it worked out for you in the end, thank goodness, that it wasn't anything that was necessary. But
yeah,
sorry.
for those wondering, terrapins are the turtle enemies in this game. They are the turtle enemies that you find in Palace of Darkness, but since terrapin is a turtle, that's the key to Turtle Rock.
Got it.
Today I learned.
So when's V29 coming out so we can fix that? Yo, nifboy, GG, dude. That Master Sword Silverless, that's awful. That's never fun.
Yeah, I was pretty thoroughly trounced, and missing the torch glitch was just icing on the cake.
That and Checkerboard Cave having the boots.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. The only thing, I think one of the only big differences, I didn't sequence break up the mountain. I dived swamp, like, without the hookshot and found the lamp in there, and then had a good laugh, and then went up to the mountain, found the hookshot. I'm like, why? Why, video game? Why do you do this? And that crazy sequence of, you know, lamp to hookshot to back to swamp to get the book to get the glove, the mitts on the right side in desert was hilarious.
Yeah, that was something else. It was one of those seeds, I guess, where it's like, okay, I'm doing all this junk and it's all wrong, and why didn't I just do Hera earlier? And why can't I do Dark Rooms swordless? And etc. etc. etc.
I think the only dark room I did was Eastern, because I had lamp pretty early.
I really wanted to do the Dark Maze and Pod, but it's like, I don't know how to do that without a sword.
Yeah, hour something sword, and then the next sword almost like 50 minutes later, 40 minutes later.
Hour 15.
Yeah, it was quite late that you guys got the sword. The sword at your first crystal. It was I think it was Thieves Town that you got the Thieves Town chest right before you bombed the ceiling open for
Yeah, that was the
blind.
first one. I did enjoy using bow for the good first portion of the game. That was cool. I rarely get to do that, so.
Bow and cane, you guys actually had some amazing strats with those weapons. It's really nice to watch.
I'll be honest, I was a bit sad when you guys started finding swords because it meant we stopped seeing bow and cane strats.
Yep. Sorry.
It was also weird because the seed just kept on giving me more arrows. Like almost every other enemy dropped 5 or 10 arrows.
Yeah,
nice.
I would not have done escape like immediately after Uncle if it wasn't like, oh, I have this 5 drop and then like a 10 drop from a guard on the way down. It's like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I'd rather have a sword, but I'll take it.
We work with what we get. But yeah, GG's nifboy, and thank you everybody for helping out, commentating, tracking. I gotta head on out. I got a thing I gotta go do. So.
You got you have commentary coming up in about 30 minutes here.
Yeah.
Andy Race is hype. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Andy versus In the Name of DT, commentated by WillardJBradley and Patty. I am really excited for that one too. You guys had a fantastic race today. We're gonna have a lot of cool races and continuing on throughout the rest of the week. So for those of you who haven't already, make sure to give Speed Gaming 1, 2, 3, and 4 a follow here so that you don't miss any of the randomizer action that's coming up. Plus, of course, then we're going to have the tiebreaker race on March 10th, and then, of course, the finals. So, yeah, the brackets, I guess. So, yeah.
And this Andy race coming up determines whether there are 1 or 2 slots, doesn't it?
The Andy versus In the Name of DT match? Yes, absolutely.
That's right. If Andy wins the race, 1 person from that tiebreaker will advance. If DT wins that race, 2 people from that tiebreaker will advance. And DT and Andy will both be people in that tiebreaker, just to make it more exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a fantastic race. I'm really excited. It could be anybody's race, so I'm really excited to see how that's going to turn out. So again, thank you guys so much for your awesome run today. GG again to Willard. Congrats on making it to the tiebreaker race. So I look forward to seeing more races in the future.
Should be fun. It's going to be hype. Woo!
And a big thanks again to HaHaCell, our tracker for tonight, who was able to keep those HUDs so updated. They were catching things that I completely missed as they happened. So again, we can't commentate these races, we can't watch these races without the help of our fantastic trackers. Thanks again, HaHaCell.
Yeah, shoutouts to HaHaCell, guys, because seriously, couldn't do it without him. But GG, thank you everyone so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next race coming up in 30 minutes on Speed Gaming. Stay tuned.
Thank you.